Welcome to the Willville City Gym.
Welcome back to the Willville City Gym. So today I'm going to be discussing the alternative arts that came out between Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield that were either the promos or the pulls that you get in a pack. The criteria here is, again, this is my opinion, it's going to be based on a combination of factors, including the art on the card, the Pokemon, and the nostalgia feel behind it, as well as the value and price that you would have to pay for it roughly if you were to find it on the open market. It'll obviously be S tier, A, B, C, D. On that note as well, too, I'm taking the 1 week break. Once a week on Fridays, I typically will post the Willville City Gym gameplay, where if you're into watching TCG content, you want to see some funniness, something a little different, a little twist to it. That's what I'm pulling off over there. So it's me, Coach Knox, and our cast of fun crew. So we're at round one of three. Each get to play 3 matches, make it to the final. So we'll see who wins. Now, from here, I'm just going to be going with the approach of just going from here down, and we'll go from there. So obviously, for this Giratina, I'm going to rank it in the A tier, primarily because the card is beautiful. The Pokemon, obviously, is a fan favorite. The only reason I'm not going to obviously consider it for S tier is just because it's so expensive. But if you got the money, I mean, it'd be awesome to have in the collection. So definitely an A on that one. The next is the promo Charizard V, which I'm going to give a B. I do think this card is cool. But however, it just doesn't like super pop to me. I mean, I think the Venusaur in the background is a pretty neat aesthetic, especially when it pairs with the Charizard alt art from Brilliant Stars. However, with him just sleeping curled up right there, doesn't do a whole lot for me. However, at the same time, it's still pretty neat with the backstory and how that works. So the Charizard V Max, I'm going to give it an A because I just think again, Charizard is one of the most popular Pokemon out there. You got it in its like full V Max form, which is pretty neat. Ties back to Sword and Shield. I just think it's a great card. And to go along with that, I'm going to put the Charizard V-Star as an A as well, too. It's battling Mewtwo, has the Tangrowth in the background. There's the Diglett that's all freaked out on the side of the mountain. So that, to me, is a pretty cool card. And the fact that it also ties to the Crown Zenith Mewtwo as well. So that card, I think, is still pretty affordable, around $20 or less, or give or take. But either way, I think that's a pretty good value. For the Unknown, I'm going to be giving that one a B. So Unknown's kind of a popular Pokemon. I mean, when I was a kid, Unknown was, part of Gen 2 is pretty cool. I feel like, with the Easter egg of it spelling, I believe it was like V-Star Power, it was something along the lines of that. Don't fact check me though. But there are some cool Easter eggs in it. It's a little bit more basic though. I don't know necessarily how that city factors into Unknown in general. However, I think aesthetically it's pretty cool, especially for the price point as well. For the Stun Tank, I'm going to give that one a C. Price point wise, it's really good. So if you're new to collecting, this card is a couple bucks. I want to say it's like 6, 7 or so. It's pretty cool with the Paris in the background, forest, got the underground area it lives with the Stunkies. So it's cute. It's just, it's not necessarily the most popular Pokemon though. However, if you're a big Stun Tank fan, this would probably be an S tier for you. So moving on, we got the Regidrago, which I'm going to give a I'm going to go C on this one as well. In part because with Regidrago, it's just sitting there chilling. I know there's a Lugia in the background, which is kind of cool, but for me, it's pretty basic. And considering, again, you're paying a similar price to the Charizard V-Star. To me, I think it's fine. It's a nice card. I just feel like we could have got some more excitingness out of it. All right, so the next one is the Lugia V-Star, which I'm going to give an A. Obviously, going out in the ocean, seeing some trainer on a boat, hovering over it, the waves, the interesting background that it has. I think that card aesthetically is really beautiful. Lugia is a fan favorite. Only thing that's going to get me is obviously the price point is like $300. I mean, well worth it, right? But at the same time, yeah, that's pretty pricey. Now, as far as the Dedenne, I'm going to give it a B. And this was the promo that came out of the like that trainer box thing. I got one on my shelf here. So that one, Dedenne is right up in front close. There's the other Dedenne that's at the bottom portion of the card. So I think it's kind of fun that it's playing with friends, jumping up in the air. It was a $2 card for a good while. I think closer right now it's like $8.10 or so. But for a price point and the funness of the card, I think B is pretty fair. As far as this Muck Muck, I'm gonna give it a B as well, considering it's like the toxic sludge Pokemon. It's coming out of the sewer, which is pretty cool. Part of Sun and Moon, so it's a little bit rare to get. Um, and I do think the Alolan form's pretty cool with it being like green and pink and yellow. So B tier for the art, price point, lore combination. I think pretty decent there. As far as the Marshadow Machamp, that's definitely an A card. Any Pokemon card that has the moon or the sun, that's just coming up or going down over the sun, whatever that's called. It's obviously beautiful. Pokemon getting together, long well is kind of neat. So they're just sitting there enjoying that sunset. So very beautiful card, and especially compared to some of the other prices out there too. I mean, seems like an A to me. Greninja, Zoroark. I'm gonna just move it to the front of B, just because that one obviously is a little bit pricier as well too, being part of the Sun and Moon block. Zoroark's a fan favorite. Greninja's a fan favorite, which is neat. However, they're just sitting there chilling. So, like from the art side, I mean, it is cool that it's chill. However, I just feel like there could have been a little bit more oomph to it. But overall, still a really cool card. Melmetal, Lucario. I'm going to put that as a C tier card just because that's another one where they're not really doing much. They're just sitting there chilling. Price point wise, it's fine for the current market, what's going on. However, at the same time, Lucario is a fan favorite. Melmetal, kind of. I mean, I think he's cool. Not necessarily everybody does. However, in Pokemon Go, it's definitely a trip. So C tier for that one. Gardevoir, Sylveon, I'm going to give a B, just because that's another one that's actually really expensive. Sylveon's fan favorite. Gardevoir is pretty popular as well too. However, it's another one that's pretty basic as far as it just having yellowish, greenish background, just chilling. So there's not really a lot going on that really, resonates with me. However, I think it's pretty cool for the fact that it is like Sylveon, Gardevoir, which are obviously very cool Pokemon. Now the Rowlet and Alolan Executor, I'm going to give a B, though I think it borders on A, because I do feel like the card overall, and especially for the price point wise, very aesthetic. I mean, it gives you that Alola vibe. The islands takes you to somewhere tropical, which is pretty cool. The Rowlet is just so teeny compared to the Executor. So it's kind of a fun one for what it is. However, at the same time, Alolan Executor is not necessarily the most popular Pokemon. Rowlet kind of is, but at the same time, too, people have different feels for the different starters. So I'm going to give it a solid B, B+. Next one up is the Slowpoke Psyduck, and that one's an A tier. It gives me the vibes of like Pokemon Snap when you're going through that river level, and yeah, Slowpoke is there dipping its tail in the water, grabbing the shelter, and evolving into a Slowbro. It's pretty cool. Obviously, Psyduck being the confusing or the Pokemon that's always confused. It's just funny to see the shelter biting on the Psyduck tail. So that's where, to me, definitely an A art for the price point and things of that nature. It just feels like a pretty good card overall. Next one is the Raichu, which I'm going to give a B. So similar to the Executor Rowlet, really neat card from the Alola vibes. It's scenic, beautiful on the beach. Not really as much going on in the background, which is fine. And I mean, I think it's kind of funny that the Alola Raichu is kind of surfing along, like maybe windsurfing. I don't know. Raichu's running away, but fun card. Could have had a little bit more going on, but it is what it is. All right, so next one up is the Mewtwo Mew, and I'm going to put this one as a low A. Obviously Mewtwo and Mew are fan favorites, and Mewtwo's based off Mew, or it's the clone of it, just way more powerful, maybe not as dynamic. But it is really fun to see like Mewtwo kind of has that dark personality anyways, just sitting there all annoyed. And then you have the Mew. Actually, I'm gonna move it to, I'll just put it right here for now. And then you have the Mew that's laughing, giggling in the background, which Mew's more playful and fun. The only thing that's holding it back, obviously, is the price point, which I own one, so I'm not going to be like upset about it, but pretty pricey for the fact of the promo. But all in all, though, like great card, very fun in the collection. All right, so the next one is the Mewtwo in the vial. So for now, I'm going to give this an A, but it's definitely in the contention for the S tier, which we'll reveal at the end. So for the Mewtwo, it's the origin story. So obviously hits on the Pokemon lore very well. So it's cool that it's in the vial, eventually breaks out and causes mayhem everywhere. But for the price point challenge of pulling, it was from the initial Shining Legends packs. So, I mean, I would imagine those were pretty, pricey at this point too. So, in all, great card. If I had it in my collection, I'd be so excited, but it is what it is. So, all right. So, next one is the Espeon and Deoxys, which I'm going to give this one a B. It's one of those that I mean, it's pretty cool. It has the like explosion kind of in the background forefront, but Espeon fan favorite, Deoxys kind of is interesting Pokemon with the different forms. So with it being a promo, pretty neat. The next one up is the Darkrai Umbreon, which I will put in the A tier. Very aesthetic, gives that dark vibes to it with the background scene. Looks like Darkrai and Umbreon are kind of running around town. One of those promos that were in the Sun and Moon tins, which is pretty trippy to think now. So pretty cool card overall, very aesthetic. Next one is the Sableye, Mega Sableye Tyranitar. So that's another pretty cool one too. Obviously, Tyranitar is a big fan favorite, has some great cards throughout the years. Sableye, another one that's kind of a fun, quirky Pokemon. They see this giant gem, they're all both excited about it. So kind of a fun one for what it is. So the next one, Giratina Garchomp. I'm going to put that one as a B, and primarily because like they look like they're kind of going up against each other, but at the same time, I just feel like the scene could have been a little bit more fun. However, at the same time, too, like both Pokemon have fan favorite card or fan favorite Pokemon, so I think it's pretty cool for what it is. Stanglass, Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos. As much as I want to give it a good rating, I'm going to give it a D. I know the stained glass is kind of a cool aesthetic for what it is compared to some other cards, but however, it doesn't really do much for me, just in part because like those, it looks like they took a picture of a piece of glass, not the Pokemon in itself. It was a promo in Elite Trainer box, so it was a pretty cool card when it was revealed. I mean, I was pretty pumped about it, but kind of in hindsight, looking at it, it's probably one of my least favorite cards just because it's not covering the actual Pokemon. The next is the Venusaur Snivy, which I'm going to put as a C. It's one of the clay ones, which isn't necessarily my favorite type of art style for Pokemon cards. It was a promo, so it was a little bit more challenging to get out there. So Venusaur being a fan favorite is obviously cool. Snivy is pretty popular, but overall for the aesthetic for me, I think it's more of a C. To go along with that, the Braixen Charizard, I'm going to give that one a C also, primarily because I know Braixen, Serena thing, that there's some fans that do enjoy, that Pokemon, but, that's where there's way too many Charizard options out there. With it being a promo and a Braixen on it, just kind of, to me, makes it feel a little less exciting at that point. So I think C is a good spot. For the Blastoise Piplup, that one's probably the cutest of the Gen 1 start finales with a kind of more basic Pokemon, even though Braixen's stage one. So that one's pretty cute. They're in the water chilling together. I think it's a fun vibe overall. Um, so B tier is where we're going for that. As far as the baby trio, the Togepi, Igglybuff, and the Cleffa, that one's really cute. The little ball scene that they're laying in is really aesthetically pleasing, cute. Um, baby Pokemon obviously haven't had a lot of cards out there, anyways, too. And as somebody that grew up in Gen 1, Gen 2, those Pokemon were really exciting to see on cards up front to be like, oh, there's baby Pichu, there's a baby Igglybuff, right? So, long story short, I just think aesthetically the card's really cool. So the next one is the Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Altart from Sun and Moon, and kind of a similar thought to the Moltres, even though I'm going to give this one a B, is just because it's like statues and not actually a Pokemon. Doesn't fully resonate to me. However, since this is kind of like a scene that kind of gives the vibes of the Sinnoh statues that have been around, I mean, there's some lore behind it. So, and with it being a card that you would add to pull versus it being a promo, I just think there's a little more oomph to it at that point. However, if it was the actual 3 trio that were, really pictured, I would assume that would give a more interesting vibe to me. So, next one up is the Celebi Venusaur, which I'm going to give a B. That was another Tim promo. And, like that card's pretty cool. Like from a standpoint of like Celebi helps give life, Venusaur, similar vibe with the plants. So yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. They're just hanging out. However, it's a pretty cool aesthetic to it. All right, so Guzzlord, Naganadel. I'm gonna give that one a C, primarily because like people aren't necessarily the biggest fan of Ultra Beast, and the background's kind of bland with it being red. And then from there, they're just kind of hanging out, chilling. So, I mean, it's a cool card. I'd like Guzzlord personally, but at the same time, just not super exciting. Now, as far as the Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, that one's a pretty cool card overall. They're hugging. It's the good vibes of the fairy type Pokemon. The background's kind of cool with the different blues, pinks, but at the same time, it's still Lopunny, Jigglypuff, right? So I think B is probably about where that one sits. The next one is the EV promo Altart, and I'm going to put it as a C, just because the art doesn't really resonate a ton with me. I know it initially came out in Japan as its own kind of promo thing as well. So, I mean, it's fine if you're an EV collector. It's probably pretty cool, but at the same time, there's so many other cuter EV cards out there that I mean, it's a cool piece. It's just not up there as the top. All right, so the next one is the Empoleon Altart, which I'm going to give this one an A. And this one's really cool too, part of the battle styles. So there is the Phalanx in there. There's the, trying to remember what the other, Mindfu. So they're practicing the rapid strike pose, right? So aesthetically, it's really, really beautiful. Standing on rocks, doing their thing, right? So, and I know it's starting to creep up a little bit in price. I think it's in around like 40, $50, somewhere around there. But I think overall, it's just a really cool Pokemon, and Empoleon's fairly popular. So that one gets an A. So as far as the alt art single strike, Urshifu, I'm gonna give that a B. You can definitely see how strong it is, how powerful it is with him holding a rock up in the air, about to throw it. I think it's pretty cool for what it is. And price-wise, it's under $20 still, I believe. So, I mean, it's a really good value for what it is. I'm a big fan of Urshifu. That was one of the initial decks that when I was like really getting back into I've been playing for a while, but especially towards like Brilliant Stars came out in the Sword and Shield era, and I was playing a little bit more again. I mean, it was kind of a fun deck to play. So the next, which will also get B, is the Rapid Strike Urshifu. This one's kind of cool because it's like standing on this like little pillar, so he's being very what's the word? But like, very careful. It kind of gives me like the ballerina type vibes, or it just has to be like so precise with the steps, like a gymnast. So pretty cool, especially for the price point again too. So worth a look there. The Tranitar, I'm gonna give an A. So when you can see obviously a tep or the Embor, no, the middle one, that one. You can see him hanging out behind the tree. Same time, Tranitor passed out, ate all the food. So that one's a fun one. Was really, I want to say that was like the first alternative art that was revealed in Battle Styles that I was aware of. So it was pretty cool to see like what type of arts they were bringing back for the Sword and Shield era. So I think that one kind of hits home for a lot of people. So we'll give that one an A. Next one is the VMAX Single Strike Urshifu, and that one I'm gonna give actually a D. And with that one, again, you heard just a little bit ago my appreciation for the regular V alt art. For the V Max, I mean, a lot of the V Maxes have like an additional fun texture to them. This one was a little bit more basic as far as that goes. And the fact that, the background kind of gives it this power feel, but there's not really a ton going on that it fills a whole scene. So I know on the price point wise too, I want to say it's like $40 or so. It's not too bad for a VMAX. However, at the same time, it's just pretty basic, especially compared to the alternative ones. Which then we'll hit on the Rapid Strike Urshifu, which I will throw in the A tier. And that one has like the whole, like it's in this valley thing, and there's a bunch of Rapid Strike Pokemon around it, flying over with Cramorants, whatnot. So that one is very aesthetically pleasing. It's like closer, I want to say $70 or so. So if you're paying, 40 or 70 for an Urshifu, it's an extra $30 for one that looks way better, way more popular, had way more meta play. Seems like a lot better of an option with that combination of mind. So the next one is the Calyrex V alt art, which that one, I know it's not necessarily everybody's favorite alt art, but I think it's really cool. You have the Calyrex walking across this frozen lake. You got the mountains in the background. You have the deerling that's walking up and smiling. You have you have a couple other Pokemon in the background, at least two. So I think the scene overall in the back is pretty fun. It's good vibes. Price point wise, it's a pretty good price for compared to the alternative arts. So overall, I think that one's a good solid B. Next one up is the Wailord Magikarp, which I'm going to give that one an A. And though that's another one where, I can't say the scene background is super exciting, but again, they're, in the middle of the ocean. So what else really is there? But the thing that really makes it fun, and this was the first, I want to say the alternative art promos that, I was aware of. That was definitely the first tag team people were aware of, which was cool. So the fact that like Wailord ate the Magikarp and then shot it up through his blowhole, it's fun at that point. So I think that's a solid A on that one. The Zeraora alternative art, I'm going to give that one an A. So that one, I think aesthetically is very beautiful for a couple different reasons. You got the that tree in the back, the pink one, what it's called. Played the video games, right? So point is though that they're at least in the frozen area of the map, but they're looking down into the at least the sunny, warm part. So it's kind of cool that it hits on a couple different regions of the Crown Tundra. And you still got like the Weavile and the Kecleon in the foreground. Got the sun as rising in the back, which is pretty cool once you see the textures, how it goes. It's very pretty. So long story short, that Zeraora to me feels like an A. So next one up is the Galarian Rapidash, which for that one, I'm going to give that one a C for what it is. It is a very pretty card. You get the elegance, the very like shine to it, which is kind of cool. To me, though, I feel like it's a little too close. I wish there would have been more of like the full scene going on. I know it's like down there sniffing the flowers, which is really cute, but like at the same time, for the price point, Pokemon artistic side of it, to me, it is very cool, but probably the highest C that I can give. But at the same time, it's good. It's good. It's just the combination's kind of tricky. All right, so the next one is the Articuno, which that one is pretty cool with it being in its like protective bubble, and it definitely hits the vibes of what it was when you got to find it in the Crown Tundra. So I think between the scene, Articuno being popular, it's a cool one. It feels like a good B. Next one up is the Calyrex Alt Art Shadow Rider one. And I'm going to give that one an A. That one I love putting out during Halloween, but it gives me that Headless Horseman type vibe that they're just in the woods going somewhere to do some shenanigans. Got the Swobat in the in the foreground, right? So overall it's pretty cool, pretty lower on the price side of things as well too. Calyrex doesn't get as much love as it should, but with that one feels like an A. So the next one is the Zapdos, which I'm gonna give an A. Probably on the lower side A, because like price point wise, it's fairly decent for it being an alt art and crown and Chilling Rain. Okay, with the Zapdos being a A tier card, I think it's pretty cool that it definitely hits on the speed of Zapdos with it kind of running through the like canyon, the valley, and you can kind of see it's like running up both sides, which are both steep as well too. So it definitely hits on the like speed of Zapdos, the strength of Zapdos. So I think that one is a pretty cool, aesthetically pleasing card there. Moltres, um, I'm gonna give this one an A, though I think it's a little bit overrated. It's kind of cool that it does have the giant moon in the background. Almost gives me like the that one Zelda that was after Majora's Majora's Mask. Yeah, that one. It gives me that sun vibe. However, it's definitely on the pricier side, and with the scene at the bottom too, it's like a bunch of like eyes looking out from the trees. So it's still like kind of basic, but at the same time, there's some density to it. So I think it's pretty cool for what it is. It's a little bit more pricey. So overall, pretty cool card. Definitely an A. The Slowking, Galarian Slowking, Tamakazu Kamiya card. Very popular artist. Love the abstractness. It's obviously very different than most Pokemon cards out there. Laying in if you're a field of flowers, if you can't tell. So, and price point wise, it's still pretty fair for what it is too. So, that's where I think it's a good A overall. So we'll keep it there for now. The Blissey V, I'm gonna unfortunately put it in the D tier. And Chansey Blissey, they're fun Pokemon. Love their good vibes that they have. The reason I'm gonna give it a D though is just because to me for that scene, it's fun, but at the same time, it's just like in a house. I just feel like there could have been a little bit more to it. So that's where that's going. The Tornadus, I'm gonna give this one a high B, borderline A. So that's where the wish I knew what the tree was called, but it's okay. So yeah, with Tornadus, he's blowing the wind up in the air, so you can see the Square Bunny, the Rockruff, the Shuppet, and the Quillfish floating up in the air. So obviously gusted them, brought them up. So that one's a fun one overall. I know Tornadus though isn't necessarily the funnest Pokemon out of the list of all these. Price point wise, fairly decent though, so I think it's a good value for what it is. I mean, I was really excited to pick it up when I did. So long story short, solid B. The next one, which I'm going to put in the S tier consideration, but we're going to put it in the A for now, is the Blaziken, and this one's pretty fun because that's another one that they're teaching Inteleon and then Zangoose, which got exhausted maybe, how to rapid strike battle. and that's where the Rapid Strike and Talion was really good in the meta as well. Has the islands in the background on top of the tall building right there. So I think aesthetically it's really beautiful. The only thing I'm gonna say that's holding it back is the price point is just super expensive too. But overall, very cool card. All right, so the Pikachu Zekrom, I'm gonna put that as a B as well. Pikachu is obviously a fan favorite. Zekrom's pretty popular. The background isn't super exciting. It was a promo. And then at that point, pricier a little bit too. So I think all in all, though, great card, solid B. The Calyrex Ice Rider, I'm gonna say this is one of the more underrated cards out there, in my opinion, because you have the whole the Crown Tundra town in the background, which I think is pretty cool. And now part of the vibe of Calyrex is also to like create life and whatnot. So it's obviously good vibes when Calyrex comes to town, and the fact that the scene of the Crown Tundra is right there. I just think that overall it's a great card, still pretty affordable, around like $40 or so. So VMAX from for Chilling Reign. So that to me is an A. All right, another A on the higher A side is the Shadow Rider Calyrex, which that one is like hovering over like this house at that point, going through the forest. So another spooky vibes. I think that one's around $70-ish or so right now. So a little bit on the higher side, but not like too high for the fact that it's a crown or Chilling Reign alt art VMAX, right? So so I just think that one's a great one. So we're gonna put that in the A tier as well. The Leafeon, I'm gonna put it as a B. Like I think it's cute being under a tree in the fall. Um, the fact that it's an evolution is pretty cool. Price point wise, though, it's obviously a little bit more expensive for what it is. So I think that B is probably a good spot for where it's at. The Flareon will also get a B with it being, and that's where I'm also taking again price into consideration. So it was a promo at one point. It's fun that it's like essentially starting the fire at the fireplace. So I think it's a fun vibe overall. So we'll just leave it at that. The Vaporeon, I'm actually going to put it as a C. It doesn't resonate a ton to me. Again, it was a promo. The background, I'm assuming it's in the water somewhere. But I just feel like there could have been a lot more going on, which you'll see in the VMAX at some point. So C tier is where that one's going to be. With the Glaceon, I'm actually going to give this one an A. And I think it's pretty cool that this one, again, seems obviously, pretty heavy on my mental weight of these. Just because too, I mean, that impacts texturing and all that as well. But for the Glaceon, I think it's cool that it's like in the middle of this like park, and from there it's watching some flowers grow. Hopefully spring's coming soon, right? So I just think it's a pretty cool vibe, and I'm pretty sure on the like alternative art evolution cards, that's on the lower end of those. Still pricey though, but I think that one is pretty neat. The Jolteon, I'm gonna put as a B. That was another promo, and it's pretty cool that it's on top of a building and you got the electric spark vibe to it. So I think overall it's a pretty cool card. The Espeon, I'm gonna give that one. I'm gonna give that one an A. Espeon, Umbreon, obviously, are the fan favorite evolutions for the most part. And with the psychic powers that Espeon has, it's like lifting up these books that help it with evolution. And it is fun that they snuck a Ditto book in there as well too. So overall, I think Espeon is a pretty aesthetically pleasing card. It has a little bit of a different like artistic side to it too. So I think overall, A tier for that one. The Golett, that one I'm gonna put as a C. I think it's pretty fun for the type of art style that is drawn in. However, Golurk's not necessarily the most popular Pokemon. He's doing his task, his job during the day, so he's helping rebuild that bridge. So I think it's fun overall. It's just, it's Golurk, right? So Sylveon, I'm gonna give this an A, another fan favorite of the evolutions. And this is the one that, to me, was the one that got away, sort of, because I don't know. I'm pretty price sensitive on what I'll pay for Pokemon cards. And that one at one point was sitting at like 40, $50, and that probably would be like borderline the most I'd want to pay for a card. And I just think it's super cute being at like some cupcake place, which love cupcakes too, right? So that one definitely is jumping up now at this point. But yeah, just really, really fun one. So definitely the one that got away from me, but that is an A. All right, so the Mimikyu Gengar, I'm gonna give that one believe it or not, I'm gonna give it a C. And I know with Gengar, people love Gengar. Mimikyu is a fun one. I like the quirkiness of it. But considering the price point of it, along with the fact that it's just like zoomed into both of them more or less, I just feel like there could have been more going on with it to make it just really stand out as a card. And again, for the price point, just C is the best I can give it. Though I just wish I could do better on that one. Here's another underrated card that I'm going to put in the B tier, which is the Medicham. I mean, it's another one that's like, I don't know, $15, something like that. And it's in the middle of this valley. It's teaching all these different Pokemon, the Sunny Scourge, other Medicham, I believe there's like Hop-Bip in there maybe too, right? The Mine and Plusle. So there's a lot going on with it. Very aesthetically pleasing. The texture on it's pretty cool, especially when you go from like the cloud to the other portions of the card. So, long story short, for the price point, what's all going on? I know Medicham's not necessarily the most popular Pokemon out there, but it's just a really cool card for what it is. So, solid B. The Umbreon, we're gonna give that an A. So that's another really popular one that I'm gonna take price into consideration too, because that one's getting pretty pricey up there. But definitely hits on the vibe of Umbreon being a darkness type Pokemon. They're in this like alleyway where you got the Grimmsnarl, which is a darkness type. You got the Pinsir, which is like grass poison or bug poison, right? Yeah. And poison type during that time frame switch from being psychic to dark. So that's kind of cool. I think there's a Scyther in there too, if I recall correctly. Maybe not, might be wrong. But long story short, very cool card for what it is. Umbreon's a fan favorite. Got that moon in the background, so just that combination. Wow. So the next is the Dragonite V, which will also get an A. Taking price sensitivity into it because that's another one that's pretty pricey, but it's just pretty cool because like Dragonite is majestic over this giant scene high up in the air above the Fearow and the Spearows. So it is pretty cool overall of what it is. So next one is the Rayquaza, which that one I'm gonna give a B on it. And as much as I think it's really cool, like hits on the whole body of it, got Zinnia in the foreground. I don't really like that it's facing away from Zinnia. So that's maybe the downside of it. And I just feel like maybe the card could have had a little bit more pop to it in the background, like the VMAX does. Long story short, though, I think it's a really cool card. Rayquaza is very popular. I like the Trainer Gallery one of it a little bit better artistically in this one. So overall, great card. Just B to me. The Noivern is an A card. So that's not only drawn by Mitsuhiro Rita, which is the main one, Charizard. It's been around forever. So, and it's just kind of cool because it gives that like New York Batman jumping from wherever to the ground to fight off some bad guys. So that one is pretty cool. Price points like I want to say it's like $40-ish or so too. So another one that isn't that expensive for like the aesthetic of what it is. So the Duraludon, I'm gonna give like that one kind of gets hated on a little bit, but I'm gonna give it a C tier. It kind of borders B, kind of like the Golurk does. Like Raihan, especially the glaring gallery art, like where he's signing the autograph on the ball. Like Raihan's pretty cool as a trainer. And then he's eating lunch with his Duraludon and the the curry was really popular or a big deal in the Sword and Shield game. So it's kind of cool that it incorporates the curry into the scene. Got the Rotom phone in the foreground as well too. So it's pretty cool. Price point wise, I want to say it's, I don't know, $15 or so, give or take a little bit. So between all that, I think it's a little bit more underrated than what people give it credit for. All right, the Leafeon VMAX, I'm going to give that one a B. I do think it's it's obviously a very popular card. He's rolling hay at a farm. At that point, though, it just feels a little too basic compared to some of the other VMAXs out there, and especially for being as pricey as it is. So I think B is a good place to put it, though. The Flareon, I'm going to give this one a C, just because, in part it was the promo. It's kind of fun in the forest, but at the same time, it's still kind of basic, has the Executor in the foreground. So it's fun. I feel like there's obviously better Evolution VMAXs out there. Which, to that point, will segue to the Vaporeon, which this one I'm going to give an A. And this one's really cool because he's obviously giant, VMAXed, and he's in the water, and there's just so many Pokemon swimming around it with the Melodics. I got the island in the background. So aesthetically, this one's very beautiful. So we're giving it an A. The next one is the Glaceon VMAX, which that one also is going to be an A. And that one is just really pretty. It's on a pond. There's obviously a Pikachu in it, so you have to give it some extra brownie points to that one. There's the, when you're filming, it's just so hard to remember all the Pokemon names. But the Pancham, yep, that guy. He's there. A couple other Pokemon in the background. So I think this one is very pretty. I know it's up there in price, but hey, what are you going to do when you want some beautiful Pokemon art? So next one up is the Latios, and I'm going to give that one a B. It's really one of the most expensive alt arts out there. Came out of Sun and Moon. I know people talk about how it was like $30 at one point back like 7 years ago. But, and I know that they're forming like a heart, so it's really cool. But with that said too, it's still up to me, kind of feels a little bit more basic than it necessarily has to be, though maybe basic's good for this one because there's a lot kind of tied into it. The sun in the background, or the moon, definitely a sunset. So it's a very pretty card. Just between the price point, aesthetic, I just feel like B is probably about where I want to put it. So Jolteon VMAX, I'll give that one a B. It definitely borders A, so I'm gonna move it kind of here. But with that one, I think it's pretty cool that's in a forest. There's a lot of lightning going on, so it definitely hits the vibe of Jolteon. Pretty cool on that end. So that's that. The Sylveon VMAX, that is an A. That's another one that's a little pricier as well too, obviously, with it being a Sylveon alt art out of Evolving Skies. Pretty cool that it has like an Eevee on there, the Marshadow. There's a lot going on, a lot of Pokemon that are tied into it. Kind of hits again on that like cafe vibe, but now they're outside. So I just think it's a really beautiful card. So definitely an A. The Umbreon VMAX is also obviously an A. Really one of the most iconic cards that have ever been released. The Moonbreon. That's one too that you look at the texture in person and you're just like, wow, this is incredible. So I see why people paid what it was. And I remember a couple years ago and it was like $300-400 and I was like, man, that's pretty expensive for a Pokemon card, but now it's a huge discount. So long story short, beautiful card, definitely an A in the running for S tier, but we will see. Next one up is the Rayquaza hovering over the forest, so that's another A tier card. And what can you say? Rayquaza is one of the most popular Pokemon out there, fan favorite. It's crawling to you versus away on this one, hovering over the forest with the VMAX energy popping up. So it just aesthetically is very beautiful, easy A tier for what it is. Next one up is the Duraludon, which is another underrated card in my opinion. So that's one of the two that's like what, 20, 25, $30, I don't know, somewhere on there. But VMAX from Evolving Skies really, to me, hits on how big Duraludon gets as well too. you look at the texturing of the card, the texture is very pretty with it kind of having this big forest. So it's not these like straight or curvy lines. Like there's a lot of little detail on the texture. So I think that Duraludon is one of the more underrated alternative arts out there for the price point. So B tier for that reason. Celebi, that one I'm gonna put in the A tier, and Celebi, is a fan favorite. And this one on the aesthetic to me is really neat in part because like the Crown Tundra is frozen, it's dead, but the fact that Celebi can kind of go through these little trees and help them bloom is pretty neat and shows off the power of Celebi. And for a while it was pretty affordable, still kind of is, but it's, going up a little bit more in price, but it definitely hits on the vibe of if you're going into the Crown Tundra portion of that map. I mean, that's what you experience. So to me, it's a very cool card. The next is the Mew, which I'm going to put that as a B, borderline A. Taking a little bit of price into consideration on this one. I think it hits on a Mew pretty well as far as like the cohesion, good vibes of it. Kind of running in the pack of the other Fusion Strike cards. So I think it's fun for what it is. So B tier. Sandaconda, I'm gonna put that one as a D tier card. I know it's most people's arguably least favorite card of the alt cards. Look at the price points. That's what the market size at least too. I know it has some tie into the game, and that's the trainer that there's like a cutscene for with it. But the fact that it's just like laying there next to this heater just doesn't do it for a lot of people. So unfortunately, we're throwing it in the D tier. But at the same time, I mean, if you want an alt art for a couple bucks, I'd scoop that up. Value wise, it's like at least a B. But all right. So for the Genesect, I actually really like this one. This one has always stood out to me. So I'm gonna give it an A tier card. And I just think it's fun because like Genesect is a robot technically, right? Or kind of robot-y vibes. So, or he's with the Smeargle, they're breakdancing, having a good time, listening to some great music, I'm sure. Price point wise, I know for a while it was like sitting at $15. I think it's gone up to 20 something maybe, but either way, price point wise, Fusion Strike was a tough set to pull from. Genesect was a 4 of for those Mew VMAX lists. So to me, that's a good one. That's a good one. The Greedent, I'm going to put it in the C tier. I think it's kind of fun. It's definitely a funnier one, because essentially the Squelvet are having to carry this tree that Greedent's just munching down on. So it gives you that vibe of, the king or your boss that doesn't do anything but just yells at everybody, barks orders. But that's not your boss or mine, but it's somebody's out there, definitely. But all in all, though, price point wise too, it's great. I think it's still under $10 or it's somewhere on there. So from Fusion Strike too. So overall, I mean, it's a good card. I liked it. I got it when it came out or when the price was right. Next up is the Eevee and Snorlax, which I'm going to put in the B tier. Definitely is another one with a little bit of a different art style. That was a promo. I think it's fun. So B. Inteleon VMAX, in my opinion, this one is also underrated. I've saw some people say it's their least favorite alt art VMAX, but this one, like the blues on here are pretty neat, hidden with like what Inteleon is, especially with him being stealthy. And if you're a person that does care about the textures, like the texture of the card is really cool with the tree line and him, up there. So I think for like the price point aesthetic, B is a good spot. For the Mew, I'm going to put this one in A. And that's one that also is a little bit more underrated, though I feel like it's getting more appreciation. That card's, I think, close to $100 now, give or take, somewhere around there. And I think between all the different colors, the blues, pinks, purples, yellows, like I think the aesthetic of the card's really cool. You got the Psychic lifting up the bus. You got like Big Ben in the background. So it kind of hits on the London vibes of, which is what Galar is based on. So Mew VMAX to me is a very neat card. So A on that one. The Espeon VMAX is also an A. So sitting on top of some European town somewhere. Could be London, might be Germany, Austria, who knows? But Sleep In has the smear seagull Pokemon. Dang it, what is the name? Oh well, seagull. Sweet. Don't call me. But yeah, it's just a really fun, beautiful card. Now, obviously, a little bit more pricey, but very, very neat. Gengar VMAX obviously is an A tier as well. The only thing that's like holding it back is that it's like $700 now, which is insane to think. But I mean, it's that like horror or like a haunted house type, suck it in, really everything. So Gengar is iconic. That's a cool card. The Charizard is here. I'm gonna put this one in A2. I think for Brilliant Stars, this is some that people will chase throughout time. Got the Epic Charizard and Venusaur Battle, which ties into this card down here in the B tier. So all in all, I just think aesthetically is really pretty, and it's a Charizard. You can't go wrong with that. So I mean, the only thing that maybe you could knock it down for too is it's facing Venusaur versus you, but we're battling, so it is what it is. The Finneon, I'm gonna give it a C tier just because I mean I think the texturing on the card's pretty cool, like with the splash at the top, and I'm coming down. I mean the texturing on the card is pretty cool, but at the same time, it's very basic. It almost is like a dead coral reef as well, too. Almost like I feel like there could have been more like color and pop to it, like there was in the Crown Zenith card. So it's nice. Just see. Hunch Crow, I'm gonna give this one a B tier. I think this is another one of the underrated cards. Hunch Crow's the boss, and he has his little minions of the Murkrows, and I just think it's cool that they're all just sitting on the tree, chilling, vibing together. You got the background of the forest and the skyline, so I feel like on the aesthetics, it's very pretty price point wise. It's I think around $10 still, give or take. So it's one of those that I think is a really good value for what it is. Next up is the Arceus, which I'm gonna throw this in the. I'm gonna put this in the A tier too. Arceus is obviously a. I don't know if we want to call it a very popular Pokemon, but it's one that people revere, and you got the whole landscape in the background, got the clouds, you got the light shining behind the Arceus to kind of give it the aesthetic of it being the god Pokemon. So all in all, I think it hits on all the right vibes of what Arceus is. Price point wise, too, it's a pretty good price for it being an alt art Arceus. So we're giving it an A. Now there is the promo, which I'm gonna give an A as well too. I mean, it doesn't to me it doesn't like stand out as much just because it doesn't have the texture, though apparently people don't care about texture. But you have the Mount Sinnoh in the background, got the beauty flies, I believe, or right behind it, floating around. You got the Bidoofs kind of looking out at it. So very pretty card. And I want to say it's like $10, give or take, around there somewhere. It was a promo in a box. So that one is definitely an A. Another A will obviously be this Beedrill. Nobody likes bug Pokemon apparently, but or Beedrill maybe, I don't know. But it's pretty cool that they're pollinating the flowers, they're collecting pollen too, right? You got the whole swarm by Beedrills, got one chilling in the flowers down here. The texturing in the card's pretty awesome. So I think all in all, very aesthetic, price point wise, pretty decent. So I'd okay. So next up is the Buzzmosa alt art, which I'm gonna actually put in the D tier. And I think this is the cheapest alt art in Sun and Moon. I mean, I think it's pretty cool that you got Buzzwole flexing, Pheromosa is looking elegant to an extent, I guess. But overall, though, it just felt like there could have been more going on with the card. Background's not super exciting. Price point wise, is more than some of these others, and I think the art just doesn't stand out as much. I mean, it's cool. It's coul. I was considering buying it, but passing for now. The Hisuian Lilligant, I'm gonna give this one a B tier. And I think overall the art on the card's pretty cool. You got a bunch of different Pokemon, the Basculegion, Quillfish, Snubbull, Rufflets. So I mean, yeah, Pachirisu is on there. So you got a lot of cool Pokemon on there. However, Lilligant's fine. It's just if you're a Lilligant fan, we appreciate you out there. But price point wise too, it's fairly decent. So it's one though that I would absolutely scoop up if I didn't have it yet though. Palkia Altart. I'm gonna give that one an A tier. Nope. Actually, I'm not even gonna reveal it. That is at least my S tier card, so I'm going to put it there. Now this one, I feel like between the Pokemon, the art, price point, it's the best combination out there. So that's my award winner. It's based on the artist MC Escher and the mathematics between like the line symmetries and then just based on where Palkia is in the picture and everything else going on, it really makes you think like where's the scene? Are we inside, outside, in the air? So there's a lot going on that really makes you think. And I know for a while it was sitting at like $30. I want to say it's maybe going to 40, 50, somewhere around there. But long story short is like I think this is the best combination of art, Pokemon, aesthetic, price point. So that is my S tier card. Machamp is a B, and I think it's fun. I know it'd probably be an A tier for some people. But between like the price point, it's a little pricier than what I would want to pay for Machamp. I think it's fun that he's like running through the city, and you have the Cactoon turn. So yeah, also helping out as well too. So I think it's fun. It's just between price point, it just doesn't resonate with me as much as maybe some of these other cards for what I want to pay. So it would definitely be a high B card, but that's the best I'm going with that. The Hisuian Sneasler, that's another like borderline A B card, but just because like Sneasler, I wouldn't say is necessarily the most popular Pokemon out there. Like Weavile is probably more popular if I was going to pick between the two evolutions. I think the scene in itself is very pretty with him, climbing up the mountain. You got the like lake, the sunrise, got all that stuff there. It's just the Pokemon and on its own's nah. Price point wise though, it's like 20, mid 20s, somewhere around there. So it's a good combination of all that's what I'd be looking for in an alt art. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. The Dialga Altar, that one is another A tier card. And Dialga, I mean, that one's pretty cool because that's the Pokemon that can manipulate time. So you have the moon cycles, you got like a sun rise and set going on all in one card. So it's trying to encompass showing time changes without changing the time. So, and I think between like the aesthetics of the blue, the green, the orange, the sun, moon cycles, like I just think it's a really cool card. So I know it's rising up in price, but easy A for me on that one. The Mewtwo, I'm gonna also give that one an A. And that's another one that I think's been underrated for a good while. I know Pokemon Go wasn't like the most popular set. It was kind of easier pull rates, smaller set type deal. But when Pokemon Go first came out, I mean, you were all there too, I think, right? And that was definitely a culture excitement event that happened. I know this ties into the like if you go back and watch the initial teaser trailer for it. Mewtwo was met up in Central Park with a bunch of trainers, so it's like a similar aesthetic to that. So I just think all that considered, it's a really, really cool card. The Colder V, I'm gonna give it a C tier. I think this one's a little bit underrated from the price point and what's going on because this to me is putting you right in the middle of the action of a battle. So you have the stadium behind it, got the battle area in the foreground. I want to say the card probably is what, like $4, $5, $6, right? So pretty affordable card for an alt art. Not the most popular Pokemon, but it's pretty cool. Rotom. I'm gonna give this one an A, though it's probably on the lower side of A. I like the colors, like Rotom's obviously orange, so you got the oranges, reds, yellows, and then you have the different mechanical items that Rotom can change into, like the fan Rotom, wash Rotom, the vacuum Rotom, Mo Rotom, right? I mean, so there's yeah, pretty cool overall. Long story short, I think it's a neat card. It's in the mid 30s right now, price point wise, so I think it's worth a scoop. The Aerodactyl also gets an A. That one is very pretty. It's would be one of my higher A's. Got the volcano in the background. You got the fossil Pokemon, alive wherever they are in Jurassic Park. So that one overall is a very cool card. And compared to some of the other prices of the cards and whatnot, it's definitely up there as far as just best aesthetic to price point. Forever, that's mentally calculated. So the next one is the Berserker, which I'm gonna give that one a B. Price point wise, it's pretty affordable still, which is cool. And I think it's really cute that he's all excited finding those bottle caps, which if you're a competitive VGC player, obviously very exciting as well too. Tracks in his dirty paw prints into the room. So I think it's a fun vibe for what it is. I mean, I can't say Berserker is necessarily the most popular Pokemon though, so that's partially what's holding it back. So B tier. And the last one is the Charizard and Reshiram promo. I'm gonna put this in C just in part because like when I look at it sometimes I'm like, am I looking at a giant pumpkin? I don't know, but it's obviously Charizard and Reshiram. So I know this one's a little bit more expensive too, right? So it's cool. It's just I just think they could have done more with it to make it like stand out and kind of give it like that Charizard feel versus some like weird pumpkin scene. So all in all, though, that's where the ranking goes. Obviously, again, Palkia is the S tier of those. We know the A tier cards are very aesthetically pleasing, especially relative to the price point and whatnot. B tier obviously is very aesthetic cards too. It's just I think they're a little bit more expensive than they should be for what they are, or they might be missing a little piece to it. But either way, C tiers to me feel a little bit overly basic. Some of the price points are still good though too, but this is what it is. D tier, I own some of those, so I'm not gonna talk crap about them. But I don't know, those don't really do it for me as much as I wish they did. So all in all, I mean, obviously I love collecting Pokemon cards. I know you do too if you watched through all this and enjoyed the somewhat of a decent commentary. On that note, I will be back next Friday. We're going to be doing the Golden Go deck. So please like and subscribe, follow along if you enjoy the Pokemon TCG discussions and gameplay. On that note, appreciate you all and see you next week.